Have you or someone you know applied for a US visa at a US embassy or consulate abroad and they said no visa can be issued at this time? In this video, I'm going to explain to you what does administrative processing mean in immigration law, specifically as it applies to immigrant visas, family or employment based. So let's jump into the video. So you're applying for a US visa at the US embassy or consulate abroad, and guess what? You're not getting the visa. They're refusing to give it to you. And they're saying that your case is now refused and heading for administrative processing. What does it mean though? The first thing you have to remember is that administrative processing is not a denial of a visa. It's not a denial. And here's why. The basic understanding is that under US immigration law, State Department can refuse a visa temporarily under Section 221G. Essentially what they're saying is that, listen, we're not denying your application, but we need more information before we can make a final decision. So in most cases, if you are sent to admin processing, it's not always a bad thing. That means that they're working on your case and they have an intention to approve your case at some point. Now, most people, a lot of our clients, you see the refuse in big bold letters. It's quite scary and intimidating. Let's understand all the terms that you might be able to see when you're applying for a visa and potentially being pulled for admin processing. So the big question is, was your visa actually refused? Was it marked with a different term? Or was it sent to admin processing under Section 221G? And we have to make a distinction between Section 221G, which is a general administrative processing, and SAO, which is a security advisory opinion. At the end of the day, whether it's an SAO or Section 221G, that means all the same thing. The immigration officer who is reviewing your case needs more information. Many people ask me the question, does refuse mean automatically admin processing? And most importantly, does refuse mean denied automatically? If you've seen a notification in your account that previously said administrative processing and now it says refused, it specifically says that they're giving you a more accurate status on your case, okay? It doesn't mean that it's been denied. It's just saying that they are in the process of reviewing your case. That's what refuse means. Again, the most important thing is that when you see status on your case says refuse, it's not a denial. They are working on your case. Now, let's talk about Section 221G. What does it mean refused under 221G? 221G under the Immigration Nationality Act means simply that the applicants currently did not establish eligibility for the visa they're applying for. In other words, the applicant failed to meet the burden of proof to qualify for the visa. And essentially what the consular officer is doing is evaluating the case to determine if at the end of the day the applicant will be eligible for the visa. How long these applications for admin processing typically take? And as I mentioned to you before, around 60 days is the average, but there are many cases where they're taking longer depending on the severity and the complexity of the application. So what can you do once you get a determination of 221G admin processing? Can you actually come out of this? Yes, in most cases, after 60 days or sooner, most applicants will be released from that status and eventually get their visas. However, some applicants will not be able to overcome the questions of the officer and the eligibility requirements, and their visas will not be approved. Remember that in the process of going through this 221G admin processing, they will ask you for more documents. At that point, be prompt to respond and give them exactly what they need. What happens if you have a criminal background? Well, the US Department of State have a way to check your background, run FBI fingerprints, and if they clear that information, see that everything is okay, your case will be released from the administrative processing. A very common question is, will you get your passport back during the admin processing? And the answer is no. Your application is not denied. They need your passport to finish processing and give you the visa eventually. If they give you the visa back during admin processing, that's not a good sign. That means that your application might be denied. And finally, how do you know that your visa has been approved? Very simple. You're going to log in and you see your status has changed from refused to approved. And finally, as always, a very common question, can you expedite admin processing? Yes and no. Sometimes, if there are compelling reasons, they'll consider finishing the case and getting you out of admin processing. In other cases, you have to be patient and wait until the end. Once again, thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any more questions, drop them in the comments below, and we'll see you in our next video.